Firstly, I will begin by apologizing to all those that followed and subscribed to this channel when its motivation was politically aimed. I am deeply sorry for the confusion this may have caused, but I hope that you will continue to follow this channel as it will offer knowledge and wisdom. Around 4 years ago I had a huge spiritual awakening after going through a rough patch in life. I genuinely feel that the universe led me to find Buddhism after a life of slumbering so deeply, being lost and straying off into rough times. I began researching a lot and eventually became very politically motivated, and in turn all of my spiritual practice diminished. It appears that somehow I fell back into a slumber only to reawaken recently after relearning what I had seemed to have forgotten. People that can see through the political veil of secrecy are very eager to improve the world. But are the methods that are being implemented actually solving the issues? Since the dawn of time and civilizations emerged, groups of people have gotten together, gained power and built empires. In the days of the ancient empires, it was not like today where the empire has been masqueraded and operated in a manner that not everyone is able to see or understand. Back in the ancient empires, everybody knew of the empire and the power it held over the citizens. The empire never hid its corruption or motives. For thousands of years people have fought against empires. Empires have fallen and new ones have taken its place. No matter how or why an empire falls, at this stage in our evolution a new one will rise up and gain control. The issues exist within the consciousness of humanity. We are barely evolved on the level of mind and spirituality. Yes, we are great at building things. But look closer and you will find that we are not so great at using the most powerful tool, our mind. Our egos give us the impression that because we can read books, research and gain knowledge, we have all the answers to the problems, but the matter of the fact is we do not. If your only tool is a hammer, then every problem begins to look like a nail. Our faulty minds that are driven by the false ego have become a hammer, and we are using the same routine that has been used for thousands of years. You can destroy the empire, but at this stage in our evolution you cannot prevent another one from taking its place. It's inevitable because the consciousness of humanity itself is the issue. We have evolved to create on a physical level but not evolved mentally and spiritually. We keep using the same old ancient method of attack only to find another problem arise in its place. Once the great Albert Einstein said, "The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results." We have become this insanity on a collective level, stuck in an endless cycle of using the same techniques of attack. The enemy which has been used for thousands of years and the empire still persists. You can get rid of the Rothschild dynasty and the banking cartel, but when you're dead and gone from this physical reality, at some point there will be another powerful group just like the Rothschilds that will rise up behind the curtain and begin pulling the strings once again. It is inevitable because of our level of evolution and lack of control over the ego. Everybody likes to claim that they are in control of their ego, and some even claim that they have destroyed it. This is nonsense. And to think that you have destroyed your ego is a great representation of the ego at play. Mastering the ego is a task that only the greatest sages, gurus and wise men accomplished. It takes complete dedication and supreme focus of the mind constantly. One must have also mastered the ability to live completely within the present moment, and this task is also no easier. To follow the Tao, sit in the gap between thoughts, act without thinking and do without doing is to be completely present. I am not even sure that a lot of people know what the ego actually is or when it's controlling them. The higher self, the Tao, the source, the God within, or whatever you may call it, has no questions and no answers. Thus anything in between is the ego at play. The very concept of thinking you know is the ego. The ego loves to believe that it has all of the answers. The master or sage fully understands that he or she knows nothing, and those with their ego at play will refute this because that is what the ego does. insists that it knows. Spirituality is a destructive process because it crumbles people's ego. People, the ego, cannot take not knowing and will come up with any reason to run away from being humbled by their higher self. The ego cannot be humbled because it has to be right and win everything. We are the issues upon this planet. Don't blame the corruption, blame the collective as a whole, because it's us that are choosing to run away from our higher self and sit comfortably with our egos. Maybe you are thinking, how can you say don't blame the corruption? I say this because at this level of our evolution corruption will persist. It cannot be eradicated because each time you get rid of one part, two more will come into existence. Get rid of Trump and there will be another. Get rid of crazy dictators and there will be another. Get rid of the Illuminati and over time a new one will form. Humanity has become Einstein's insanity, expecting to change things with the same old ancient methods of attack. We must change ourselves and evolve spiritually if we actually want a balanced world. You cannot get rid of good and evil. That is like trying to get rid of day and night, silence and sound, etc. But you can become balanced between any two opposites, and this is known as the way, the Tao, the nature of the universe. This is the way of what people call God. I ask anyone who watches this to deeply ponder what has been presented to you without bias or bigotry. It's us who must evolve on the level of mind and some form of spirituality, otherwise the same issues that you oppose will continue. We have far too much knowledge and barely a drop of wisdom. This is highly destructive and very dangerous. Thank you for watching and listening.